Congressional leaders on the front lines of this oil spill investigation are turning to a marine expert from South Mississippi for answers. Dr. Moby Solangi, Executive Director of the Institute for Marine Mammal Studies in Gulfport, testified yesterday before a U.S. Senate panel in Chalmette, Louisiana. Megan Gray found out what Senate leaders wanted to know.
Congressional leaders wanted to use Dr. Moby Solangi's expertise to learn the effect the oil will have on the environment.
And their questions were really related to the long-term and short-term effects on the environment and the wildlife, the food chain, and how the hydrocarbons would enter.
He says by talking about the long-term implications of this disaster, he hoped congressional leaders would understand the magnitude of what we're dealing with in the Gulf.
This was not just a local issue, it was a national issue, that the trickle effect from what happens here, whether it is the seafood going or the tourism, is going to affect the country.
Dr. Solangi says the panel was very pleased to learn about IMMS and its facilities. The Institute is the only one of its kind in Mississippi and Alabama.
One of their biggest concerns was that we were not ready to respond to such a large-scale oil spill, and that facilities like ours and others, preparations should have been made and will be made in the future to respond to situations like this.
But IMMS is ready to step in and help. In fact, it just received its first oil-related cases. 2 sea turtles found in Alabama covered in oil were brought to the Gulfport facility last week.
He's been with us for a few days now and is recovering nicely thus far, fingers crossed, but you can see how small he is and how difficult that is to be able to, you know, kind of work through getting the oil off of him in the process that goes into doing so.
The initial cleanings took about an hour the first 2 days. This loggerhead still needs to be cleaned at least once a day to remove any residual oil.
You can use the Dawn for all of the external areas, and then if we need to get inside their mouth, which they do have a lot of oil that will get trapped inside their mouth and sometimes even around in their eyes, we'll use mayonnaise for that.
The young turtles will continue to be rehabilitated at the Institute, and one day will be able to return to the wild. In Gulfport, Megan Gray, WLOX News.
And Dr. Solangi says his institute hasn't had to respond to any animals here in Mississippi yet because the oil isn't here, but he says it's only a matter of time.